every time I feel I have a grasp on the Holy Digimon's powers, this show makes it a point to one-up itself. Turns out that this Digivolution unlocked Lopmon's hidden memories. I was under the impression that Lopmon's nearness helped to unlock Agumon's Mega Evolution, but that doesn't seem to be the case. At least, it's not definitive. All we do know is that the evolution unlocked Lopmon's memories, which it shared with the team. It's still weird that they're silhouetted. We as an audience know who they are, and the characters, particularly Agumon and Biyomon, should recognize them. We do get a little more information that Angelmon and Angelwoman were not part of the team because they were leading them. We also get confirmation that Kari is the bearer of light, which we knew. Most old school Digimon viewers knew this from the original show, but even this show made it no secret, so it's weird why they tried. At the very least, the old show made it a mystery for all of like an episode, and then it just became a matter of when will she be captured and when will she get her Digivice and crest. Here, it seems like they were trying to build up a mystery we knew from day one. Small rant aside, let's get to the most surprising thing from this series up to now. Pegasusmon. Wait, no, we have to go back a bit before we talk about this armored Digi. Before Pegasusmon, Padamon is feeling down on himself. During a mind meld between Lopmon and Padamon, a new ability that I don't recall happening before, we see Padamon's mindscape filled with falling feathers. Lopmon touches Padamon briefly, which either restores his memory or something like it. But an image of a battered Angelmon is shown, and Lopmon makes mention of the dark abyss, reincarnation, war. This must be the cost of surviving many difficulties. I don't believe this is in the correct order stated. It actually might be backwards. Think about it. First, there was the ancient war. Then he was probably put into a Digi-Egg and reborn. But his rebirth caused him to be captured and sent to the dark abyss until the events of the series. I would like there to be just, one big flashback episode of the ancient war instead of these bits and pieces we get. Lopmon goes on to mention that his memories and a good amount of his powers were lost. Based on how much Lopmon has already done, just sent my little mind wandering about how powerful Padamon really is based on what we've seen. If he's lost a great amount of his power, but he can still restore injuries and destroy an entire castle, just how powerful is this Digimon? Lopmon leaves Padamon with this little message. Become the light of hope to brighten the world. Once more, these two elements, light and hope, are being highlighted. Despite wanting to follow Lopmon's advice, he's still feeling down about himself for not being strong enough. He's been pretty hurt since the last time we saw him, and this is kind of messing with his head. Later on during a battle, when he sees TK willing to face the enemy Digimon, Padamon has a little reflection. He mentions about being in darkness, and we get a look at his different evolution forms chained up in that dark abyss, starting with Seraphimon, then Shadow Seraphimon, Magna Angemon, and Angemon. It's mentioned that he didn't lose himself completely because he had hope to see TK. Before we get to his new Digivolution, I want to say that seeing Shadow Seraphimon is extra surprising because I didn't think we'd get him. What's his story? When Padamon said he was losing his mind, did he briefly change? Was this during the war? Was this later? I hope we learn something from it, but chances are probably not. It's just there and we're left speculating what happened. Anyways, Padamon regains his hope and digivolves into Pegasusmon without the armored Digi-Egg. I did some research because I was confused on how this was possible. Here's what I found about armored Digivolution. It is an ancient form of Digivolution that was developed when the digital world was young, and it was almost impossible to digivolve even to the champion level without assistance. So it's referred to as an ancient form of Digivolution, and Padamon is the first Digimon in the cast we've seen doing this. Why I think this is important? Well, because Padamon's data references that it has hidden holy power because it inherited genes of an ancient Digimon. I don't necessarily think Pegasusmon is that ancient Digimon since Padamon has to digivolve into him rather than the other way around, but it's just interesting that Pegasusmon is from an ancient form of Digivolving and Padamon has genes from an ancient Digimon. And Pegasusmon is just as strong as ever. Since Pegasusmon is probably somewhere in the champion level or even like between champion and ultimate, it was able to take on the enemy near single-handedly. If both his champion forms are this powerful, could you imagine how battles would go with Magna Angemon and Seraphimon? And since obtaining this form, TK seems to be relying on it exclusively, which is disappointing, but maybe this means Angemon and Magna Angemon will be used when the cards are down, like their ace in the hole. Now we finally get to the 8th member of the team. Angelwoman has been referred to as a Holy Digimon, which means that Valdramon's message was in fact referring to both Angemon and Angelwoman. And both of them were found on Cloud Continent. Gatomon was actually Skull Knightmon. After she turned into an egg, she had been manipulated into a different form and was sleeping, waiting for Kyra to come wake her up, which we find out in a flashback that she had sent a feather to a young Kari. This would explain why Kari went with her. This doesn't explain, however, why she's Gatomon and not a Salmon, but it's likely because she was a champion in the old show and we just have to accept it here, even though I don't see anything in the story that would make that make sense. While Devimon had been after TK and Angemon, Millenniummon is after Kari and Gatomon. The two of them were to be used in a revival ceremony for the evil Digimon, although Gatomon was Skull Knightmon at the time. Thanks to Kari finding Gatomon's true form, we see the power of light flat out nuke Millenniummon's shards. We already saw the power of hope nuke an entire castle and knock back a Digimon, and now we see the power of light. Once again, in case we were still unsure, these two are the most powerful forces in the Digiworld. I almost feel like these two should get a Stan Bush rock ballad and we just play it over anytime they knocked back an enemy. I think it'd be epic. We learn a bit more about Gatomon in the next episode, but the biggest thing to highlight is when Kari gets her Digivice. Like how Angemon boosted Garurumon and Metal Greymon, Gatomon and the Power of Light powers up Metal Greymon, Bergermon, and Pegasusmon, and Gatomon. With help from her allies, Gatomon delivers the final blow, not at all dissimilar to Pegasusmon's fight episodes earlier. The next episode has her go Ultimate, which is the fastest we've seen from the main cast, but it's expected. Gatomon is already a champion, so her only next level is Ultimate. She went from champion to Ultimate nearly as fast in the original series, and we all knew she'd be Angelwoman, so we were just waiting for it. Funnily enough, this will be the second time Angelwoman has appeared before Magna Angemon. The latter may have been seen in a flashback form, but I'm not counting it because that's not a true Digivolution. As Angelwoman, she is just as powerful as Angemon. She uses her Holy Arrow to one-shot kill Marine Angemon, a Digimon that had smacked Gatomon silly just moments prior. Because we're moving back to the other members of the team, bet you forgot they existed during this Holy Digimon arc, didn't ya? We probably won't see focus on these two for a while. This means we probably won't get Magna Angemon or Nefertimon for a while, if the latter is even going to happen. While I am sad they won't be the focus for a while, it's also not fair since this is a group show, not the Holy Digimon show. We need to get back to the others and hopefully unlock their mega forms. I am serious about that flashback episode to the war though. Could Genai please come back just to give us an episode or two about the war? Please?